Hi there, we're going to speak about building a strategy for delivering a website that will give you return on investment. So to start off with, an overview of who I am. My name's Darren, I'm the co-founder at Mpool. You can follow me on Twitter at Darren Smith, and you can ask me any questions you have regarding website delivery, website strategy, return on investment, or anything else by tweeting me at Darren Smith. So let's talk about the process of building a website. I'm going to stay on this slide for quite a while. So the first step is, if there is an existing website, reviewing that website, looking at what entry pages people are arriving on the website, which pages are they exiting from, how long are they staying on a page, does every single page pass the blink test, what's the speed of the page load. If you have data from a system such as HubSpot, what is the conversion rate for that page from turning visitors into leads and visitors into customers? And then when you look at that at a particular page, how much is it aligned to that brand strategy? And the strategy might have changed. Also, don't forget to review the personas you're targeting, because essentially what you want to be doing is building a website that is targeted at your persona. So once you've got a whole bunch of insight on how your existing website is performing and how well that aligns to personas, present that to your client and get sign-off. The next stage is hosting a workshop with your client, and generally that client will have a whole bunch of ideas on pages they would like to see on their website, sections on their website, maybe some tools, calculators, areas that maybe people need to log into, and so on. So have that workshop and map out all those elements. It's often very good to kind of use stickies to identify all the different pages and sections. Then add in your SEO plan. So if you don't already have one, you will have to go out and do some SEO research. We've got a video on that already. But take your 15 most important strategic keywords and make sure that that you know what they are, what the search volume is, and move on to, well, first of all, make sure that gets signed off. And in some cases, there might be a whole bunch more than 15 keywords. It really depends on the industry that you're in. But then move on to the next stage. And this stage is where you take all the information your client gave you on what pages and sections they want on their website. You take the information from your SEO plan and you go out and build a sitemap that is absolutely optimized for search engines and absolutely optimized for user experience. So it really makes sense where every single page, where every single section, where every single tool fits and sits. From that point, your client should sign off on that, so you know what pages you're going to be creating, where they're going to sit, and so on. And it's time for you as a marketing or digital strategy person to wireframe all the different pages. So where do you want different things on the pages roughly? Where do you want video maybe? Where do you want some bullets? Where do you want infographics? Where do you want blocks of text? Where do you want the call to actions, that type of thing. It's just a wireframe from a strategy point of view that will then, once you get that signed off, enable copywriting, because the copywriters will be able to come in and say, okay, so we know that this page is optimized for a particular keyword. We know that you want bullet points, and this is the type of messaging that you want to get across in this area, and this is the call to action that you want the person to follow once they've read that block of copy or watched a particular video, as an example. Once all the copywriting is done, you get signed off again from a client. You then can hand over your copy and your strategic wireframes to your design team. And the design team can then actually make something that looks really good based off your strategy and also the length and size and type of content and copy that they've been provided. Once the design wireframes have been signed off by the customer, you can then go into development of any rich media. So for example, you might have identified that you need a infographic or a video that needs to be developed. At the same time, there might be some back-end or some more complicated development, such as you might need a calculator developed or an extranet where a client can log in. Then from there, once all those elements are signed off, or it can actually run concurrently. You can go into website design. Once the website designs are signed off, you can then go into the development portion, or at least turn in those website designs into CMS templates that can then be worked off. Once those are signed off, it goes into the population of content. So every single page that needs to get built off a template, you go and insert the copy that's been written, you insert the video, the images, you basically build out the site. Once that's all signed off, you go into testing phase to make sure that there are no bugs, test at different times of day, different locations, different browsers, make sure that everything's working 100%, at which point you can go live. Now, when you go live, you do need to get sign off from going live, and then make sure that you have time set aside for bug fixes. The last part is then moving from, rather than having a website project, to moving into a growth-driven design process, rather, where you'll never have to go through this long, laborious process again, but you'll rather constantly go through this process in small increments and constantly improve your website. So a couple of things to bear in mind to make your site deliver real value is make sure your site is responsive. Not only will you be penalized by the likes of Google if your site is not responsive, but many people are browsing sites and so on their phones and tablets, and you need to make the experience as amazing as possible, and make sure that it's very usable. Many design companies are now building their design for mobile first, and then converting into the internet or browser kind of desktop version. Never ever forget your personas. So if your personas kind of will never ever look at your website on a phone, maybe there's no need for a responsive design. Going on to search engines, we've spoken about them a little bit already. So there's a couple of rules. So first of all is any keyword that you want to rank for, you need to have that keyword in your URL as high up in that URL as possible. So it shouldn't be /something, /something, and then your keyword. You want to get that keyword up as high as possible in the hierarchy, and any spaces between the keywords or key phrase should be replaced with dashes. In terms of building out your sitemap, instead of creating generic pages like an FAQ page or an About Us page, rather build in your keywords there. So instead of saying just About Us, which could be about anything, if you are a pet store, you could change that page to About Our Pet Store, and immediately you're educating the search engines what you're actually about. As kind of hinted at before, is for every strategic keyword that you want to rank for, you should have a page dedicated on your website for that. Those pages, the density of the keyword on that page needs to be considered. You should be aiming to have that keyword on that page at least 4 to kind of 6 times. That keyword should appear in the H1 tag, and every single page on your website should have an H1 tag. And there should only be one H1 tag for every page. If you need to bold other text or whatever, you can use an H2 or H3, H4 tag, but only ever have one H1 tag. You can also put the keyword into the alt text of images on the page, so the images should be enhancing and describing visually what the page is about. So include the keyword in the image names, and then don't forget your keyword in your meta title and your meta description. In particular, when it comes to the title, this is your only opportunity in search results. When somebody searches on Google and they see that kind of blue section at the top where you can click on to go through to your website, that is the title. And in that title, you need to communicate why you're better, why you're different, and what you do. So the title is really, really important. Lastly, from a search engine perspective, is take advantage of social graph. Social graph is how many people are talking about this particular page on social media. So it's really important that every single page that you want to rank on your website has the ability very clearly to share this, and that there's already people that have shared it, even if you do it yourself, because you want to address that fear of being first. No one's ever going to share a page on your website if nobody else has shared that page on the website. Next rule is to always have 3 ways at a very minimum to convert a user on every single page. So the way that most people optimize their website, most UX is done for those people that are ready to buy. That generally accounts for 2% of people that arrive on your website, yet entire websites get optimized for that 2%. So what we rather do is optimize more for the other 98%. So those showing buying intent that are on your website, or those that have just discovered a need they didn't even know they had by stumbling across your website. So always make sure that there's 3 ways. So for example, someone that is showing buying intent might want to download a calculator or a white paper or a case study where you can get their details from them. In exchange for that, you know how far they are to making a purchase. Somebody that's ready to buy is going to want to click on contact us, book a consultation, add to cart, something that is very, very kind of got an immediate action to it. Normally, the top right-hand corner is the best place for the most important action. So in most web cases, the contact us button or the request a consultation, the checkout button is in the top right-hand corner. We saying rather replace that with something that more people, a greater percentage of people will click on. And also think on every single page that you optimize for these 3 ways of buying is, how did this person get to this page? Did they arrive on this page because they typed in pet store and they found your About Our Pet Store page? And what are they going to want to do if they have found that page? They are going to want to find out where you are. Where can they find you? Can they shop online? That type of thing. Or is it a case of they've now been to your corporate profile page after landing on your home page, and what type of call to action will suit them best then? The next thing is to constantly differentiate. So if I had to take the slide away right now and ask you what was different about those 4 apples, you would tell me that the one was red, right? And that's kind of the concept of the blink test. When someone lands on a page, you literally have a few seconds to communicate what it is that you do, why you're better, and let them remember that. Instead of showing this page is loading or not clearly communicating why you're better than competitors and what it is that you do. So every single page needs to do that, and it needs to pass the blink test. The other thing to consider is, does that page communicate those things in isolation to anything else? Because most people won't arrive on your homepage and be able to follow your ideal UX journey that you mapped out in your head. Most people will arrive on a secondary page, a tertiary page, or a blog page, a news page. They're going to come in from anywhere else besides the homepage. And you need to make sure that every single page in isolation passes that blink test and tells that person what you do and why you are better. I hope this training has been useful for you today. We do have an exercise for you to complete. Go over to offers.mpool.com/academy-ROI-websites and complete the form where you'll be emailed the exercise, and we will mark that and give you feedback. Thanks so much.